All right, good morning once again, and welcome to another episode of the lesson. Yesterday we talked about we treated solve for x. It is still solve for x, but this time we're looking at quadratic formula. So when you look at quadratic formula, we're looking at this first one, 1.1.2. The 1.1.2 1.1.2 is always quadratic formula when it comes to paper 1 of grade 11 and grade 12. So normally, if we consider this first one that says 3x squared minus 10x minus 1 equal to 0. Note this lesson is just to expose some areas where learners make mistakes. And if any learner would be able to take care of these mistakes, then you're going to succeed. We have 3x squared minus 10x minus 1. It is quadratic formula. And it says we should round up to 2 decimal places. Please note this question can be in this form. They might give it to us in this form. What you have to do is to make it a standard form. They might also give it to you or to us in this form. I remember some learners will make it a standard form, but in a wrong way. They'll write it this way, equals to 0, and then substitute. Please, this is wrong. The constant number must be the last, and the 3x squared and then 10x should be in that order according to the order of degree. You remember this one should be like x to the exponent of 0, but is not seen there. So you arrange it in order of degree. This exponent of 2, exponent of 1, and then the last one. So if we look at this, I suggest to learners, when you're given this, highlight the coefficients first. A is equals to 3, B is equals to negative 10, serves as a guide. Then C, which is the constant, is equals to negative 1. Then the formula also for quadratic formula, you must always write down the formula, which you know is x equal to negative b plus and then minus square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. Then the reason why I said you should highlight it first is that normally you're given 1 mark for correct substitution. So you need to be careful as you do your substitution. If you lose it while substituting, then you're going to lose it also with the rest of the steps. So we have x here to be equal to negative. Remember, that b is negative 10. So it has to be negative 10 this way, not writing negative 10 only. If you write negative 10 only, then you're going to lose out. You can see there that we have 2 negatives, the negative that is before b, and then the negative that is coming from 10. So we have plus and then minus the same negative 10. Please, in brackets, some learners write negative 10 this way. It will give you negative 100. So be careful with your sign. Then the next step there, remember we're still dealing with substitution. So we have negative 4. Then the first there on our list A is 3. You substitute. Then the C is negative 1. We're talking about substituting correctly. Then 2, 3. Please don't make the mistake of using another number like -10 or -1 where you have 3. Then when you have this, some learners start punching their calculators to get the answer. At times they make mistakes in the process. If possible, take it one at a time. You can see here there's negative times negative, which gives you positive, plus, minus. Then -10 all squared. You remember you did this in lower grades of 6, 7, and order, which gives you 100. Then minus, you can look at this -4 and treat them holistically this way. -4 times 3 and then -1. You will see that is going to turn positive. It's going to be positive 12. If you check very well, you see it's going to give us a positive 12 there. So that means we're going to have plus here and then have 12. Because -4 times 3 is -12, then times this -1 gives you positive 12. Then, so we have 12 here, and then all over 6. At times, confirm your answers very well. Then you can now differentiate if you feel like at this stage you have 10 plus, then you add up the 100, which is 120. 112, sorry, 112 all over 6. Then, or you have x equals to 10 minus 112 all over 6. Then at this stage, you can now make use of your calculator to give us the final answer, which is going to be x equals to 3,43 or x equals to -0,1. We can also confirm using our calculators as we have 10 plus √112 divided by 6. That gives us x, since they said round up to 2 decimal places, x is equals to 3,43, because it gives us x equals to 3,430500874, but we are rounding up to 2 decimal places, which every learner should know as you did them in grade 5. Then the next one, having a negative, gives us x equal to -0,09. Or let me say, we have -0,097, which if I round up is going to give me x equals to -0,1 in that case. So this is the first question we're doing. As you can see here, I took time to break them down in stages to enable us understand the procedures. I took time to break them down in stages. So that's just the first one. Be careful with your signs. If you look at the next one here on our list, we have 2x squared minus 3x minus 7, which appears basically the same or having the same features. A is equals to 2 here in this case. Then B is equal to -3, or B is -3 rather. Then C is -7. I still write down the formula. If I have the formula, is going to be the same b squared minus 4ac. If you look at all these formulas closely, you see everything inside this question. Every learner should have known them from lower grades of 7, 8, 9. Then you do your substitution. In this case, we still have b to be negative. So we have x here equals to negative, then negative 3 plus minus. We have negative 3 also squared minus 4. Then we have our 2. Then we have our negative 7 all over 2 and then 2. Then if you do it the same way, we're going to have 3 plus minus. Remember, I'm just being careful because at times when we feel we're doing the right thing, we might make mistakes. So negative 4 here, if you multiply, is going to give us 56. So we have here 56 all over 4. So when we have 56 all over 4, then we still separate them. X equals to 3 plus then 9 plus 56. You can see I'm taking them one at a time because at times overconfidence can make you lose math. Over 4 here, or X equals to 3 minus root 65 all over 4. Then you can now punch in your calculator. Be careful as you do that. 3 plus root 65 divided by 4 then gives you, if at times they will say leave your answer in short form, so a learner should always know or follow instructions. 2,77, and the one for minus or for negative will give us negative x equals to negative 1,27. Then in this case, you can see these two questions have the same features. Normally, every 1.1.2 of grade 11, grade 12 question paper 1 will always be quadratic formula. Be careful. Remember, you are given marks for correct substitution, and then the next one will now be your x, and then the two answers. You get your answers. I mean, you get the mark allocation. Maybe comes depends. If it's 3 marks, you get 1 mark here. You get 1 mark. Then if it's going to be 4 marks, you might get 1 mark for the stage. Maybe a 4-mark question. That's it with this one. Then let's look at the ones up here. These ones appear different, and some learners may looking at the fact that these are fractions, they get thrown off and lose marks because they are used to the first one we did. But you don't need to panic when you see this. There are many ways you can maneuver and get the answers here. You can make all here over 1 and use x as your LCD, then which is going to give us x divided by 1 here will give me x. Then here is x squared minus the same thing, x divided by 1, multiply the numerator is going to give you 6x, and then this one, x divided by x, those is 1. 1 times 2 gives you 2. The same thing, let's say we do it with the one having 0, it's still going to give us 0. We can do it this way. We still do what we want to do. Then automatically the x there goes away. Or you can also do it this way. What if I make it easier for me? Let's say I write x. I take out the denominators there. Let me take them out. And then I say x minus 6 equals to, since this is 0 this side, negative 2 over x. I cross multiply like this. I'm still going to get x squared minus 6x equals to negative 2, which when I bring the 2 over is going to be x squared minus 6x plus 2 equals to 0. So do not get carried away by the fact that, okay, is a fraction and you get scared. No, just Your knowledge of algebra is going to help you maneuver all this. Then, if we now look at it this way, we're going to have, excuse me, our x squared minus 6x plus 2 equal to 0. We can also highlight one more time. Since we have just x squared, we know it's going to be 1 there. Then the b will be negative 6. Then the c will be 2. Then you write the formula, which is x equals to negative b plus minus b squared minus 4ac over 2a. Then we can then substitute. When we substitute, we're going to have negative 6 plus minus, we still have our negative 6 all squared minus 4. Then we have our a, which is the 1, and then our c, which is 2, all over 2 times 1. You can still take it one step at a time to avoid mistakes. You have your 36 here. Then you have your negative 8, because negative 4 times 1 is negative 4. Negative 4 times 2 is negative 8 all over 2. All over 2. Then you can now finish your calculations. Ensure you don't make mistakes here. So it's going to be, let me squeeze it here, x is equals to 6. Sorry, here is plus minus. 36 minus 8 is going to give us 28 all over 2. Then, which you know is going to, when you're done with your calculator, there is mine now. Then we're going to have 6 plus root 28 divided by 2, which gives us, in decimal places, except otherwise, we're going to have, let me squeeze it this way, we're going to have x is equals to 5, 6, 5. Then if we put our negative, I didn't write it down for want of space, then we're going to have x is equals to 0.35. And that's it with this one. Then we look at the next one here on our list, which is, let me shift and write it out here, which we're going to have 4x plus 4 over x, then plus 11 equals to 0. You can see these ones look almost the same. And some of us learners get thrown up while doing this. No, like I said earlier, you can still maneuver your way. And this is for, you can, did I say you can even distribute it if you like? Let's say, since you have x here, the shortest cut here is to just say this x to this gives you 4x squared, and this one here gives you 11x. Then the one directly having the x as denominator will just be 4. You want to do it that way. Or if you want to now do it the other way, then the long way, which I wouldn't advise you to for want of time. I can equally move the 4 over x, let's say something like this, 4 over x here. And then what I'll do here is to cross multiply, which is still going to give me 4x squared plus 11x equals to negative 4. Then I bring the negative 4 over, which is still going to be 4x squared plus 11x plus 4 equals to 0. We're not really going to solve and start doing the quadratic, which I believe I only want to explain how you can maneuver this, because I've seen learners get it wrong because of maybe limited knowledge of fractions. Then here you can highlight, here will be a is equal to 4, then here will be b is equals to 11, then this one will be c is equals to 4. The reason why I normally say highlight is that it will now help you to substitute correctly without making mistake. We have negative b plus minus, then b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Always write it first before your substitution. It will now guide you. This time we'll have a positive number for b. So we just write our negative 11 this time, not negative and then having another negative in the bracket. So we have plus minus our 11 squared minus 4. What do we have for a? We have 4. Can you see it helps us to substitute correctly? Then all over 2, here then 4. Then when you have, and then take it one step at a time to avoid mistakes, like I keep saying, that if you can put everything in the calculator, then it's still fine. You have your plus minus 11. 11 here is 1, 2, 2. That is 11 squared. At times, don't feel you know it offhand. You also need to check, because tension can make you get the wrong figure. 121 is the correct one. So tension at times, you might feel, okay, I know it is just, and you put in any number and end up getting stuck somewhere. So be careful as you check, confirm everything. Even though you seem to know them offhand, you confirm everything. So here we have our 121. Then we have our negative 4 times 4. You can put all in the calculator, negative 4 here in brackets 4. Then we have 4 again, which gives us 64, but a negative this time. So it's going to be negative 64 all over 2, which is negative 11 plus, let me keep that step for now. 121 minus 64 gives us 57. So with your 57 all over, can you see? Here will be 8, because it's 2 times 4, 8. So be careful, because at times you mistakenly, maybe you have 8 in mind, but while writing, you just write something different like 2. So every learner needs to be careful while doing this. It doesn't mean you don't know mathematics, but maybe the tension or what, maybe the environment, or because you're pushing to finish on time, you might mistakenly write a number that is not in your mind. Remember, here is x equal to, then here is also x equal to negative 11 minus root 57 all over 8. Then let's check and confirm negative 11 plus root 57 divided by 8. That gives you negative 0.43. Negative 0.43. X equals to negative 0.43. Then the other one with a negative before the root will give us negative 2.32, because we are rounding up to 2 decimal places. Please note that at times they will say leave your answer in short form. So what you have to do is to leave it in short form. So that's x here equals to negative 2.32. Then let's look at the last one before we close. We have 3x minus 4 equals to 2 over x. Remember, we tried to bring two different methods. I mean, two different kinds of questions when it comes to quadratic formula. It says here 3x minus is still 1.1.2, which is always the second question that you see. 3x minus 4 equals to 2 over x. This one now looks much easier for you. You cross multiply, which is going to be, let me write it this way in detail. 3x minus 4, like this. So let me just put it this way so that maybe you see. So it's going to be 3x squared minus 4x equals to 2, which now is going to be, you bring over, be careful with your signs, guys. 3x squared minus 4x minus 2, because the moment you make the mistake and write plus 2, you failed it, you've gotten it wrong. So I think with this kind of question, you get 1 mark for the standard form. Then you can now highlight, like I normally say, A is equals to 3, B is equals to -4, and then C is equals to -2. Before now, put in our our quadratic formula, which is x equals to -b plus minus b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Then we now do substitute, which is x here equal to, you have your negative, this time we have a -4, or -4 here. Please always be conscious of those signs. Then we have our -4 all squared minus 4. Then a is 3 and c is 3. So we're taking time to break it down. Then we'll have our -2. Be careful with your signs. Signs can really deal with any student and cost you marks. Then the last one here, remember your negative times negative gives you +4 plus minus, as you can see, plus minus. Then we'll have -4 all squared is 16. Then I can punch this whole one in the calculator like this. -4, bracket opens, 3 closes, -2. Then it gives us 24. So we have +24 here, all over 6. Remember, we're solving for x. So you now have x here equals to 4 plus, you can now separate them, 4 plus 16 plus 24 is 40 all over 6. We now have x equals to, or x equals to 4 minus √40 all over 6. Then, using your calculator, at this stage, you can now see we have 4 plus √40 divided by 6. If it says in short form, let's say the question is in short form, you're going to leave it this way, 2 plus √10 all over 3. But if not in short form, that means you're going to have x to be equal to 1,72, because we have 1,7205, 0.75922. Then the one for negative, we can still, if it is negative and they say leave it in short form, it's going to be 2. You know it's going to be 2 due to the negative measure. Is going to give us 2√10 all over 3. That is x equal to. But if not, the final answer if it's in 2 decimal places, will be x equals to negative 0.39. So you can see we have different kinds of quadratic formulas. So don't always expect to see those normal ones like these ones that we did earlier, like this one for 3x squared minus 10x minus 1, or the one for 2x squared here, this one here that I'm taking. Don't expect to always see it that way. They might bring it this way. They might give it to us like this. They might give it to us like this. They might also give it to us like this also. So it can come this way. Even this way, let me say we have x minus 6 plus 2 over x equals to 0. They can play with our minds and just write x equals to, let's say, 6 minus 2 over x. It can also be this way. So whatever way, your knowledge of algebra, like I keep saying, counts. Then you have to move it, which will be x minus 6. Be careful with your signs, please. Plus 3 over x, then equal to 0 before you solve. Okay, that's it for questions 1.1.2 quadratic formula. Our next lesson will now be on inequalities. And before we go into simultaneous equation and order, we keep going in that order. All the best as we prepare. Take care and bye.